Let's kick off this chapter with a look at the interface. Now, this is what we use to drive this program, just like driving a car. You got a steering wheel, you got a brake, you got an accelerator, don't get those two pedals mixed up, and you take off into the wild blue yonder and drive. In order to get this program working for us, we have to know how to drive the program. So let's take a quick spin, hit the high points, if you will, of this interface, and then, of course, we will dig deeper and deeper as these lessons continue. At the top, of course, you've got pull-down menus. All programs have pull-down menus. This is no revelation. Pull-down menus allow me to go to something and select it by clicking it. And again, we all know that, but I want to mention something here that we will discuss in more detail later, and that's shortcuts. Notice on all, there's a shortcut. There's a lot of different shortcuts. University study, let this sink in. University study after 2 years showed that if you use shortcuts in programs on a regular basis without thinking, you just do them, you can save 1 hour out of every 8 hours in a normal workday. Now down here, we have the options bar. Now the options bar is controlled by the particular tool that you select. Now here's one of the things that I absolutely love about Adobe. I mean, I like everything that they kind of do anyway, but what I'm talking about here is creativity and flexibility. For example, if I use the paintbrush tool, they don't say to me, well, you can only use a round brush, Andy, and it can only be this big, and you can only use it this way. They allow me to do anything that I want with that tool, to the point that it would be ridiculous for most people. But we're all creative, and we're all different. What I love about Adobe is they go out of their way to make sure that I have different options to these tools that allow me to do anything I want with them, but obviously you got to know how to use them. That's why we're here. Different tools have different options. Over here to the right is the workspace I'm in. And again, we'll talk more about this later, but I'm in the Essentials workspace. You may not be. Don't worry about that yet. We're just hitting some high points. But if you want to change to different workspaces, you can do that right here. Over to the left, of course, are the tools. We kind of talked about those. But if you click and hold on some of them, you get more tools, different things to check out and different things to try. Over here, of course, is our workspace. Down here, it says 25%. If you want to change the zoom, you can do it right there. Over here, it says document size, 17.2 megabytes, 17.2 megabytes. What is that? The number on the left represents the compressed, flattened, saved file size. The number on the right represents its working size as you begin doing things. And as you begin adding layers and doing effects, that number is going to probably get bigger. So that's one thing we can do down here, but that's not all. If you click that triangle right there, you can change to different things. Let me show you one. It's called efficiency. Efficiency is at 100%. That means my motor, my engine in this program is purring along perfectly efficient. If I do something, for example, I did the oil paint filter on this image. Now, that takes a lot of horsepower. If you've got efficiency down here, you may see that number drop. 90%, 80%. Years and years and years ago, I saw that thing go down to 30%. What does that mean? It's saying if I had some more resources, I might be able to go faster, but I'm being restricted by what I'm being allowed to use, like RAM memory and scratch disk. So we can use that number to help us understand if we're going as fast as possible. The most common one you will see there is document sizes. Let's take that back for now. Over here on the right, of course, are the panels. Now, years ago, they used to be called palettes, like the layers palette, the channels palette, the paths palette. Basically, Adobe has decreed that they are now panels, and you may occasionally hear me use the word palette. Why? Old habits die hard. Let me do one more thing before we get out of here, because this is an area, layers, that we will be spending so much time in. There won't be a chapter that goes by that we won't be getting into layers. Layers allows me to control what I'm doing. For example, if I come over here with my paintbrush tool, and I come over here and I begin painting on the image, which obviously you wouldn't want to do, but then again, you can do anything you want to in this program. I like that. For some reason, I like that. So I go to lunch, and I decide I better save this and close it so nobody sees it. And then I come back after lunch, and I reopen it, and I decide, man, what did I do? That was dumb. I'll just undo it. You can't if it's been closed and reopened, and you know that. But since I haven't done that, I can press Control, or actually that's Command on a Mac, Control in Windows Z, my favorite keys on the entire planet. Undo is wonderful. I got rid of it. What if you want to do that in a way where you can come back the next day? And that's where layers come in. Most of you know this. Did you know that you can have up to 8,000 layers? That's ridiculous. It proves my point that Adobe is doing everything they can not to restrict what we want to do. I don't know anybody that would use 8,000 layers, but if you want them, they're there. If I click this button here for a new layer, I'm laying a piece of acetate plastic that I can see through on the image. If I begin painting again, it does look the same, but the difference is, of course, I'm not painting physically on the image and destroying it. I'm painting on a layer above it. If I pick up my Move tool, I can move it around if I want to. Or if I come back the next day and go, man, that was dumb, I wish I hadn't done that, I can just drag that layer to the trash. Here's one of the things that we're going to do in these lessons, and I'm really big on this. Almost every single thing that we do will be non-destructive. We will be able to do all kinds of crazy things to our images and actually be able to come back the next day and undo everything we did. Adobe is working toward, in Photoshop, the ability to do that for absolutely everything. And again, I love them for that too. Well, there you go. Just kind of a quick flick through the old interface, if you will. But you know what? You got to know how to drive this thing before you can get on the road.